Okay. Well, it's been a while since I started in this journey back in the days where I had daisy chain wires connecting computers with modems. So I'm very excited as to where technology has come to, because where it was in my noodle back then, I actually have the infrastructure to make things happen in a great way. And that's why this is my third school where I've pushed a blended learning model. I did a high school, I did a middle school, and now I'm trying in an elementary with K-8 school of New Horizons. So, our demographics are your usual charter school in Los Angeles. Unified is our authorizer. So we have a wonderful authorizer that we work with. And our philosophies of blended learning is basically that we are trying to create individual learning paths, that we have relevant PD, and that we have a data flow that really connects into live differentiated teaching that happens on the spot. A teacher is teaching, and they're actually changing their teaching as they're teaching, because the data flow is coming back to the teacher, and they're knowing that these kids that are struggling over here in the content, it's actually coming back to them so that they can change it when the next rotation happens. And that's what it's all about. Blended learning is about accelerating the learning, and it's also about differentiating the instruction by the teacher and the students. So when we look at the BLAST model, we're looking at three major components here of innovative technologies, which is distant learning, interactive tools, digital content, online courses, teaching approach, flipped classroom, getting the teachers with mastery learning assessments using Illuminate, where we have the assessments built in that are connected directly into the gradebook. One button, all this stuff comes right into the gradebook. Teachers don't have to input it at all. So that's, you have happy teachers. And then our innovation skills with technology. So what does a blended learning classroom look like? Well, it's definitely not your old school classroom. I call it disruptive innovation because it's not silent in our classrooms. It's all about academic discourse, and it's all about rotations, where we have three distinct groups of like 9 students in a classroom of 27. So you have the teacher, we have full-time aides, paraprofessionals in every class at every grade level, from K to 8. So the TA is running 2 of the stations while the teacher is doing direct instruction with one group. The students are doing a collaborative station over here, and then they're doing an independent station on a program like the TechBook type situation. But we have all of our platforms, whether it's Envision, Pearson, Wonders English, all of them have a digital platform. So those kids are at their instructional level in that independent station, and that's what's key, because we are a full inclusion site. So we have 12% special needs students. So those kids come at it wherever they're at, whether they're at 2.4 grade level, 3.5, 4.2, wherever they're at, they come at that content and they work at their own pace. So our stations are really all about developing an individual learning path for those students. And it's been working phenomenal at this K-8 level, which I didn't know if that was going to happen. But it's been amazing how these students have they love rotating. They love being able to learn in different modalities. And they move at about every 30 minutes, they move into another rotation. So there's 3 rotations in that classroom. And the learning of information is moving through that whole time. So that teacher actually is a different teacher after the 3rd rotation, because they have been getting information about how kids are learning in real-time actionable data. This is a 2nd grade classroom where we have our students, they're working on independent station and they're learning the content, whereas the teacher's over here teaching another group. And then the kids love the collaboration station the most, because that's where they get to talk to each other, dig into the content, tear it up, rip it up, just get into it. And that's where the phenomenal learning comes together. And they get handed some laptops so that they could do some work. Here's another group of students where they're using in their collaborative station. So we're using different content where students are accessing this content and being able to really work with it. Here is one of our programs where when the kids do the math, they get points, and then they go in and they create a Sim City at the same time that they're doing the math. So kids that weren't into math are like doing math like crazy at home over spring break because they want to get the points to build the Sim City, and then they have a Subway party, you know. Here we have the new blogging going on where we had all these kids who had silent voices. You know, 50, 60% of the class didn't talk. You had the Johnny jump up. So now all these kids have a voice so that they can speak when there's a question that's put out there for the students. This is an incredible literacy tool where it grades all the English writing at the first swoop with this rubric, and the students can edit this their language arts writing 40, 50 times, and it gives it their stuff back to them in Spanish as well. So it's an incredible tool. This is how our teachers plan. They have actually 3 different lesson plans and 1 lesson plan. That's the BLAST model, where the students, they go in and they pull that agenda up. So instead of having a whiteboard configuration like the old days, they go in and they pull this up from the teacher's website. And this tells them what they need to do when they get to that station. And it's just a very clean model. Our infrastructure, we check out these hotspots to the kids that don't have access. We check out Chromebooks to the kids. That's about 20% of our students. And we also, I went to Radio Shack and got this little thing that I plug in all the cell phones. So kids bring in their cell phones, they plug in, they download the content, they access that content at home where they need to. So kids that have at least a smartphone, maybe they don't have a laptop or something, but they can access it. And that's how we do with the BYOD. And then of course we have the student parent portal. So the velocity of change is what happens when you have a BLAST model where you really change the amount of level. And this is kind of our SBAC results after our 2nd year. We're only our 3rd year as a charter. So we had this kind of growth from 1 year to the next of implementing this just in these grades here. And we really believe in this vision here, which is the IE to the 4th. Thank you.